Captain Marvel became Marvel's premier woman superhero in the late 2000s, and I would say has continued to be that since then. She is one of only two at this particular moment in time women characters that have had films. And her first film, if I remember correctly, went on to make $1 billion. Not too shabby. But in the intervening years, there's been a ton of negative sentiment about Captain Marvel that sort of feels like it has led to the character being deprioritized, at least in the space of comics. In the films, we haven't seen her too much. We did have the Marvels, which underperformed. And in the comic space, she hasn't had an ongoing solo series in a little while now. So the question is, has Marvel fumbled what they had with Captain Marvel? And did the Captain Marvel fandom disappear? Where is it? What happened?
Where's the Carol Core?
Yeah.
It's it's a weird one because I think in terms of the comics, like the most recent run was Kelly Thompson's run, which was great and it was long. It was what 50 plus issues.
Yeah, something like that.
So
yeah.
Kelly had a good tenure on it, and from what I remember reading, like I enjoyed it, and also I think it was pretty well regarded. It wasn't their highest selling book, not even anywhere close. I'm not even sure if it was on the charts really, but at least in terms of like it had a niche audience that people enjoyed. It's not Marvel's Wonder Woman, it's I think Marvel ever since the first movie came out and there was so much blowback from it from chuds on the internet where I don't think they really defended Brie Larson too well.
Mm.
And I think since then it's just been her star has been kind of dropping and dropping and dropping. Civil War 2 didn't help. Civil War 2 was it felt like to me a complete rewriting of who she was at the time. I think Carol Danvers, which was a much more friendlier and nicer and warmer, almost more like a Superman character during DeConnick's run and into like when she became popular as Captain Marvel. And then Civil War 2 brought her back to those like, oh, I'm a military person, a little more hard edge, a little more stern. And I didn't like it. And I think since then, like Marvel has dropped the ball on her.
I wonder how, like, the Carol Core thing was huge on the internet, and it was one of those things where, if you were on Tumblr or Twitter, you would see these people all over the place. But it's one of those things where I wonder how many of those people actually got the books.
Not only that, I mean, there's no way of really knowing that, but not only that, I think that was
Yeah.
really tied to the creative team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that those two things sort of being connected didn't necessarily help the character because again, this is only we don't know how those sales were necessarily, or who bought what, but assuming the Carol Core fandom, specifically those people on that were on the internet, assuming they didn't buy the actual Captain Marvel comic book, but it was left in the hands of, for a lack of another better term, Marvel comic book fanboys who weren't crazy about it or were only interested in hating on it in the first place. Where did what was the what's that term? The Overton window, the Overton window.
Too much Kirby for you.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a Captain Marvel series since 2023.
Mm.
And that makes her if you really think about it, I think it might make her, other than Black Panther, the most popular character to not have a book.
And I
Like,
think
if you go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I think her importance to Marvel as a comic book company was only relative to her importance to the MCU.
Finish your thought, Sean.
Um, I was gonna say that that's including DC. That makes me feel like there's something more than just, oh, her last book didn't knock the doors off from a sales standpoint. Because there are characters being published right now by Marvel who have sold a lot less than Carol Danvers did. How many times have you seen a book in the last decade get to 50 issues? That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I can't think of a good reason, if we're talking pure publishing, why Carol Danvers does not have a miniseries or something. Everybody else is somewhere, but she's nowhere.
And that's where my pessimist comes in. It's she's nowhere because she's nowhere on the big screen, and maybe their plans for her aren't as big as they were.
But wait, because before there was a big screen consideration, she had books.
Miss Marvel when she was
So
Miss Marvel.
yeah, but
Sure.
that was still Carol. So she had books from 2006. I can't speak to before that, but from 2006 to 2023, Carol Danvers had a book somewhere. That's her 10th volume, the last one that just finished. How is it that there is no Captain Marvel Carol Danvers book right now? Something is wrong.
I mean, the same reason Spider Woman doesn't have one. Who's notorious, who's had ongoings for probably just as long in miniseries here and there. Their focus is shifting.
She's more popular.
Is she more popular than something like Storm? Is she more popular than something like Phoenix right now? Like, I think they're shifting the spotlight to these bigger characters that have a bigger upside right now, even outside of the comics. Carol Danvers had the potential for another movie, and then COVID hit, and that pushed that movie back. So then that character star and popularity had dropped. Even, you add in all of the internet shit, how many, I don't think an AI algorithm can count the amount of horrible YouTube thumbnails that Brie Larson's face was on because of that movie. That combined with COVID and then delayed movie and then the other movie being okay in terms of sales. Why put out a book and invest in that when we can do one on Storm? A character we now have complete control over, who has popularity, who is selling a book, who we can then put out merch for and do all this stuff for that isn't as tarnished goods, as shitty as that feels to say. I think Carol Danvers is just I almost said a victim. It's a bunch of shitty things that happened at once that I think just made her as, not interesting to Marvel anymore.
Is there a Black Widow title right now?
No.
Oh, no, there's not. But there just was. She was Venom.
She was Venom, yeah.
There just was.
Ew.
Yeah.
Since the Marvels came out, Spectrum has had a series, who was the other Marvel, and Kamala Khan has also had multiple series. And this is Marvel we're talking about. Marvel doesn't give a damn. They'll publish anything. Marvel will publish anything. They publish more than any other publisher. I really have a very hard time believing that it's this or that. I don't believe it because Marvel clearly doesn't care. They'll publish anything they want.
Ghost Spider has a book right now.
Multiple. Yeah.
Even worse.
And is she even on the Avengers right now? No.
When
Captain
I was
Marvel?
reading it, she was.
Yeah.
On Jed McKay's? Yeah, she's
Yeah.
leading it. Yeah, she's leading it. Okay. That's really all she is. She's just there. Yeah, I'm not confident they will do anything with her. Huge anytime soon.
I do sort of wonder if the backlash was too much, you know? Um like if you watched the Marvels, like it had problems, but it wasn't a bad movie,
It's one of my
you
favorites
know?
recently. Yeah.
I I
I
I,
thought it was solid.
I enjoyed it. And that's saying something.
You want to say that again, just for old
I
times?
listen,
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He said it on the review too.
It doesn't, it doesn't redeem the MCU, but I enjoyed it. Um and but I think it is safe to say that you can look at the movie itself and you can see how it should have been a Carol Danvers Captain Marvel 2 film that got 3 other projects shoved into it.
Yeah.
My feeling is that the reason that she's not being published right now is the same reason why the Luke Cage book that we were supposed to get didn't come out. I
Yeah.
really believe that. And it's the same reason why, although on a different side of things, why the Punisher was on ice. I think they won't publish Captain Marvel for the sole reason of all the hate and backlash that happened because of these douchebags that go online and hate women. There was nothing wrong with the Marvels for it to get dogpiled the way that it did, and there's nothing wrong with Brie Larson for her to get dogpiled the way that she does.
And the same with the first film.
No, like I'm not a fan of that movie, but that has nothing to do with like women.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that's nothing to
Yep.
that's just my opinion on a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
and woke is dead in 2025, right? So like, Marvel doesn't need to put out a comic starring their most strongest female character that they put so much money into before. I'm being sarcastic when I say this, by the way. I think I lost my sarcasm at the end there.
Sam Wilson have a title right now?
He has kind of a mini series, but he
Yes.
also had a movie that just came
Yes.
out. So
Okay.
But even when she had the movie coming out, there
Yeah.
was, if I remember correctly, there wasn't even a mini. There was nothing.
the original
That's
or the Marvels?
crazy. The Marvels.
I think
That would have
Kelly's
been
book was out.
Yep. Well, probably would have been ending or close to
What?
ending.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I guess that would have been 2023, right? So Kelly's run would have
Yeah.
been ending around that time. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
But it was
The
ending.
reason why I wanted to talk about, sorry,
But it was ending with no plans afterwards.
right. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it frustrates me. Because when I started reading comics, I didn't know any better. I thought that Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, was Wonder Woman. Like, not literally, but like I thought she was supposed to be on that same scale, and I didn't know her before. So I was like, oh, cool. I didn't realize they had this kind of character. And I got to watch her development as a member of the New Avengers to the leader of the Mighty Avengers and everything that happened with that character that was so great. And so to see a movie happen for her was a big deal to me, whether I liked it or not. And so I'm coming from a place of frustration because there's a lot of value left in that character, and there's no reason why she should be on the sideline other than a fear of assholes that they're worried about. And I don't like that publishing strategy on any side of it.
It's
Yep.
scared and it's spineless. Because I'm with you, Sean. We started reading comics at the same time. I was reading that Miss Marvel run, that one with her and the American flag,
Yes.
that original costume. Great. So much that, Moonstone took over, did that whole bit with Dark Avengers. Check out the book club. She's an important character for me. And it's not only that, it's a legacy character. Captain Marvel as a property, that's Marvel, that's Genus Vel, that's Carol. And we're missing that. I'm hoping with maybe here and here is the fact that Imperial is starting soon. And the space side of the Marvel Universe can be blown up. And maybe that's where you slide her back in comics wise. But we're recording this early June 2025. No news of that.
It's the year of our Lord.
Yes, this is the Lord, yeah. Our Lord, Carol.
Sure. I'll pray at that altar.
I'll say this specifically for the people that are going to hear this. Um, I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say. But if your perspective is based on like some weird theory you watched on a particular YouTuber's channel, or you're coming from a place of like hate and negativity, you're not going to win in the comments. So I want to read respectful discourse as to how we feel about Captain Marvel. I think there are legitimate reasons to dislike the character's trajectory, uh,
Mm.
in a certain way. I can get behind that. If we're talking about her as a character, not, Brie Larson, not I hate women, none of that, because all of that shit is for the birds.
Yeah, first person to
So
comment, Brie Larson can't emote and is emotionless, gets a kick in the pants. Check
From Brie Larson.
check out her YouTube channel. Very fun. One of my favorites during COVID lockdown. She was playing Animal Crossing and stuff. She seems like a great person.
I thought she was cool as Captain Marvel, especially in Endgame when she came through at the end. Like that was, I
Okay,
don't know, that
yeah,
was
my
pretty
complaint with
awesome.
her is that maybe power scaling is an issue, but other than that, I thought she was great in the
I,
Marvels. So it was like,
I thought that was cool as shit.
Yeah, where Captain Marvel's supposed to be a beast. Like
Yep.
let's see some really heavy hitters in the
Yep.
MCU. I don't understand that complaint. Like you don't want to see this type of shit. She throws down. I'm not even saying you, Tyler. I'm saying
yeah.
like a lot of people that were complaining that she was like, oh, where did she come from being this powerful? Dude, who fucking cares? This is the kind of fighting we want.
Ace, what are you talking about? Did you not watch the movie?
Yeah. Ah, I don't know. Leave it in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you have thoughts as to why she's absent or what they need to do to make her better, I want to say one more thing because I don't know what we're going to talk about her again. One more thing. I actually really like the sort of right wing version of the character. And the reason why is because that's different. I always thought it was so cool that she had that kind of like in Civil War, she goes with Iron Man because she believes that the policing was smart because they don't want to have reckless kids running around with all these powers and not using them safely and correctly. I thought that her being that way was very different. And I like that aspect of her.
I think the clarifier is here that she was more pro government.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more conservative. Yeah.
Conservative.
Conservative. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I mean, maybe that's why the Carol Corps is gone, because it's antithetical to most of their beliefs, which I would totally understand. Um, but yeah, I'm not. I liked her for fighting against that. But hey,
But it's the same, it's the same sort of dichotomy of like on the outside, where we are, of course we side with Captain America in the first Civil War, right? But if we were in the Marvel universe, of course we'd side with Iron Man. These guys are fucking pests. Get them out of here.
And I thought it was cool that they were showing her take that perspective because she just believed in it.
Mm.
That there was nothing ulterior motivating her. She believed in that mission. She thought that was right. And I never understood why she got a bad rap for that. I don't understand why. Like it's almost like you can't win with her. Because if you make her like that, then the Carol Corps will hate her. But if you make her the Carol Corps, then these other idiots come out the woodwork. So I don't know.
and that is the dichotomy of being a woman.
There you go. And we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Take care.